I'm gonna go and then you go.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Karl. I'm 24 years old.
I'm Justin and I'm 26.
And we just bought our first property ever in New York. And we also became landlords because it's a multifamily. And we did it with no money down, no private mortgage insurance, PMI, no attorney fees, no closing costs, no, what else? Oh, and our credit scores were not considered in the application.
I know this sounds really too good to be true, but we did this all through a program called NACA. During this video, we're going to be breaking things down for you step by step. It may be long and strenuous, but as long as you put in a lot of attention, you put a lot of effort, it'll be much beneficial in the end.
All right, so let's get to it. Essentially, NACA stands for Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America. They were founded in 1988 to help fight wealth disparity and fight predatory lending. And the way it works is first you go to a workshop, they explain what NACA is, what the program is, and after the workshop, you get assigned a counselor, and they give you your first date for your meeting one-on-one with your NACA counselor. They're really busy. It might be a month or 2 months after the initial workshop, just FYI. At this meeting, they tell you to bring all of your documentation, like your W-2s, and also your budget for the house, how much you can afford can be. If you are great with your finances, you're saving money every month, you're really on top of things, you have no credit card debt, then you can continue to submit the rest of the documentation to your counselor, which your counselor will tell you exactly what you need. It will be like W-2s, bank statements, verification of employment. It's also catered to your specific needs. For example, I didn't have 2 years of straight work experience due to COVID, so I was able to write a letter of explanation, LOE, as to why I didn't have 2 years of work experience, but I could still be eligible because it was due to COVID and I had prior years of work experience before that from internships, and I also am in my field that I went to college for. So that was sufficient enough to just write a letter. So your counselor will tell you every single thing that you need. If you're not so great with your finances, you have credit card debt, or you're losing money every month, or you can't pay your rent, obviously that wouldn't set you up to a good situation paying for a mortgage, because they don't want you to default on that mortgage. So they'll tell you to work on your finances, follow your new budget that you created with your counselor, and then you'll meet again until you feel that you are prepared to take on a mortgage.
Keep in mind, you only meet once a month with this counselor. So if you don't have anything ready or set for that one particular meeting, you have to wait a whole 31 days until the next meeting with your counselor. And that's if they're free within the next 31 days. It could be even longer.
They're very busy in the office because there's very limited amount of counselors. So you have to make sure that you're on top of your own documents and your own budget and everything. You have everything that you need and you're on top of it. They submit that to a loan underwriter, a NACA loan underwriter. And then the underwriter will look at all your documentation and determine if you're still missing something, or if you're good to go, then they will pre-approve you, and then you will be NACA pre-approved.
Pretty much like when your mom was cleaning your room and you thought you cleaned everything, but really you didn't, and she made you go back and re-clean, and it was mad annoying. But nonetheless, yes, they will go over all of your details just to make sure that you know you're good and well off to make it to the next round at least. Elliot, I feel like I'm Missy Elliott in that music video, Catching the Sun.
So once you get pre-approved, congratulations, because the process can be very rigorous for some people depending on if they have their documentation ready or not and how busy your counselor is. For us, it took a couple of months, but we can go more in-depthly about our timeline and why it took us a couple months versus we figured out kind of like a hack or a secret to getting pre-approved really quickly through NACA, and that will be a separate video. But once you get pre-approved, now you can continue and look at houses. This is the fun part. Before you do that, you're going to need a real estate agent.
You gotta find the right agent, because the wrong one your whole life up.
You can't just get any agent through NACA. Unfortunately, they have to be a NACA approved real estate agent. So you have two options. You get assigned a NACA agent automatically from their red department. The second option is you can say, no, I don't want that agent. I want to get my own agent, which then they need to agree to go to a NACA workshop specifically for real estate agents and submit a bunch of documentation as well, and they get approved by NACA. Honestly, we were assigned an agent and they never even replied to us, but we had someone in mind already, so we just reached out to them, and she agreed that to get NACA approved, go to the workshop, submit whatever she had to submit. Thank God, because she was amazing. So honestly, I recommend if you have someone that you trust, or that someone that has had a recommendation, someone recommended them to you, I would just ask them, hey, can you go to this NACA workshop, submit some documents, and become a NACA agent? I think that way is better, honestly. While you're at it, you also have to get an attorney. And you guessed it, they have to be NACA approved as well. You don't need the attorney right away, but our suggestion is that you go ahead and look for attorneys when you get pre-approved, because once you're ready to put an offer on a home, you don't want to be scrambling trying to find a NACA approved attorney.
Keep in mind, NACA does cover all your legal fees, so that's something you don't have to worry about whatsoever.
Okay, so then you go look at houses and finally find the one. You want to put in an offer, so you have to contact your NACA counselor. You get a new counselor for after you get pre-approved for the home buying process. She or he writes a letter that says that you're pre-approved for this amount, whatever amount you want to put the offer in at, and a little explanation that says basically you're a NACA member and there's a rigorous pre-approval system to NACA, so it is very likely that you will get approved for a final loan amount. Because with other programs, they can pre-approve you, but when it comes to actually putting in the offer and applying for the loan, right? Because pre-approval, you're still not guaranteed a loan with any program. So with other programs that's not NACA, they could still deny you at the end of the day. Like, even though you got pre-approved, when you go to apply for the actual loan, they could still deny you. But with NACA, it's a very, very good chance that once you're pre-approved, that you're pretty much set, unless you do like something crazy. So as long as you don't go on a crazy shopping spree, rack up some new credit cards, take out a new student loan, a new car loan, as long as you don't do anything crazy like that after you get pre-approved, you should be good to go. So you put in your offer. If your offer gets accepted by the seller, now you have to move pretty quickly to get the process rolling.
And keep in mind, it is emotionally strenuous when getting your offer accepted. There are other people out there who will offer strictly cash, and that's the most annoying part of this process, is when finding a house, getting beaten by somebody who's offering all cash. That, or a brokerage who's trying to develop on a new particular property. They tend to offer all cash a lot more than the general public.
And the benefit of people who are paying all cash is usually they will waive appraisal, they will waive inspections, and with NACA, you cannot waive any of those. You're required to have an appraisal done by the bank. You're required to have an inspection, and that inspection has to be done by an inspector who's, you guessed it, NACA approved. So you need to get a NACA approved inspector.
They've got to be Chuck Norris approved.
Once your offer gets accepted, you want to contact your inspector right away. Get the inspection done as soon as possible, right?
And sometimes the inspection is a godsend. That inspector could potentially find troubles and problems within the house that you didn't see when you first saw the house. Sometimes you don't see everything. You didn't see that awning hanging off to the side. You didn't see the pipes looking all beat up in the basement. You need that inspection to make sure everything is in tip-top shape, or at least it's still awesome when you finally move in.
And that's why NACA requires an inspector, because they're constantly looking out for you, the buyer, and they don't want you getting into something that is way above your head. The inspector, once he does the inspection report, he's not going to send it directly to you like a normal program. He's going to send it directly to NACA's hand department. Hand essentially is going to be the one reviewing it before you. You also get it, but they get it first to make sure that there's no discrepancies. And they're going to give you a required repair checklist.
You're practically going to go through everything with a fine-tooth comb. Keep in mind that during this NACA process, there are two forms of approval you need at the end. The approval for approval to close, and then the approval to close. Super crazy.
You get this list back, and all the things that are on the list, either the seller is going to have to address, you're going to have to negotiate those repairs with the seller, or you're going to agree to do those repairs after closing with NACA. But that list that you do get back from NACA, that is essentially has to get taken care of, or else they will not agree to give you the loan. Which is a little bit annoying because I work in architecture, and I can tell you some of those things on the list, they were pretty annoying, like light bulb wasn't working and that was required to be repaired, and all these repairs have to be done by a licensed contractor who is NACA approved. If you decide to take on the repairs. If the seller takes on the repairs, they just do it themselves, and then you get a re-inspection. The same inspector comes back, does another report, sends it to NACA. If everything's good, your hand cleared. But if you decide that you want to take on the repairs because the seller doesn't want to negotiate, then you're gonna have to either roll it onto your loan for the mortgage, and that lowers your affordability for how much you can afford in the house, because your monthly payment goes up. Or if you have all cash, you can also decide that you just are going to pay out of pocket and not roll it onto the loan. However, regardless, that money that you have is going to go into escrow account. That the escrow is an account that you won't have access to. NACA will have access to it to pay the licensed NACA contractor, and they do not allow for any deposits to be made for example, 50% deposit for a contractor to start the work. They don't allow that, so they only allow for material draws, which is a little bit annoying if you're trying to find a contractor who's NACA approved that also accepts that, because many contractors do not work like that. They want a deposit ahead of time for their work because they want to make sure they get paid for their work. So it is a little bit more tedious if you are trying to take on the repairs yourself, because it's not you paying the contractor. The contractor has to be approved by NACA, and it's just a bit of a headache. So thankfully for us, the seller took on the repairs and we're good. So now that you took care of the repairs, whatever you're gonna decide to do, hand clears you for that. At the same time, Bank of America, which is the bank that NACA uses for the mortgages, they send an appraiser to come and take a look at the house. So they do that. They send someone. You don't know who it's going to be. You don't know when they're gonna come until like a day or two before the actual date. But they take care of that. You don't have to do anything. They just come, they take a look at the house, they run their comps, and they decide whether the house is worth the amount that you're trying to purchase it for. And again, this is a requirement from NACA because they want to make sure that you're not overpaying for a house, which is something that happened a lot in like 2020 when the interest rates were so low, but people were going crazy overpaying for houses. Now it's like a little bit more manageable. It's a lot easier to negotiate with sellers. People aren't really like overpaying for houses as much, but either way, NACA will not allow you to, because if it's more than what it's appraised for, you're either gonna have to pay for that out of pocket, which you probably don't have that money, or you're just gonna have to negotiate to lower the price or continue to look for houses.
I doubt the homeowner's gonna come down in price.
Hand cleared, your appraisal comes in fine, hopefully. And so once everything is good, all your documentation went to the lender, Bank of America. Once Bank of America has all your documents, the appraisal, the inspection, they basically say, okay, cool, you're good to go, you're approved. That's it. If you didn't go on a crazy shopping spree or like took out a car loan or did anything crazy. If you didn't do that, you should be fine. And Bank of America basically be like, cool, we're, what is it called? Like good to close or? Clear to close. So then you're clear to close. Ooh, that means you got really, really far. You're almost there. You still cannot do anything crazy until you close. You don't go shopping. Don't open a new credit card until you're after your closing date. So once you're clear to close, you get the closing date, and then that is the day you go sit down at the closing table and you sign all the documents, sign your life away, basically. And your attorney's there, your agent's there, and then you get the keys. Sounds super easy, but there's a lot of, it's a roller coaster. There's a lot of bumps along the way, for sure.
It's a roller coaster of emotions, most definitely.
But I think overall, even though the program, I think we had a couple headaches with at times, like the inspector and the inspection report, getting pre-approved. I think overall, like you're gonna have still headaches with other lenders as well. But the benefits that you're getting with NACA, they completely outweigh the headache, in my opinion. Because regardless of buying a house, you're gonna have a headache looking for a house and putting in offers and doing inspections.
But I gotta say, I'd much rather have this headache than, be living in some New York City apartment.
Overall, like I would 100% recommend doing the program, and I would do it again if I had the choice, if I knew how the outcome was going to be. I would definitely do it again. And I'm telling everyone that I know about it because it's kind of like this hidden secret that's not a secret because it's open to the public.
And the thing is, you can do it on your own, but you can also do it with your partner or a friend, anybody for that matter. You just have to have a clear line of communication and make sure that everything is running smoothly.
That's essentially the program. We actually got money back at closing because we put $10,000 into our escrow account, basically to prove to the sellers that we're serious about purchasing the property, and if we walk away, they would have kept that $10,000. You always get that escrow money back at closing, but then you would pay like all the closing costs and the attorney fees normally if you do a different program at closing. We didn't pay any of that, so we actually got $5,000 back. And the other $5,000 that went to prepaid taxes, prepaid insurance, home insurance for the house. And there was like something else that we paid for, but it was everything that was in advance. It was nothing that we had to pay like 3% of closing costs or pay our attorney or anything like that. The only thing you would also pay for is if you choose to buy down your interest. So that's also an option. We decided not to, but you had the option to get, instead of a down payment, you give the bank money to lower your interest rate, which is something people would probably be interested in doing now that interest rates are a little bit higher than what they were in the past 2 years. So that's the only real money that you would be bringing to the closing table, is to buy down your interest if that's what you choose to do. And that can also allow you to purchase a house that's more expensive than your budget if you have money saved, because then you lower your monthly payments.
But you have to have money for that.
Yeah,
they're all just very minor steps on a very, very long process to building generational wealth. This is just one video in a long series of tips and tricks we're going to be sharing with you on our first home buyer
to be talking about more specifically in detail the timeline we went through NACA, like when did we start, when did we get pre-approved, when did we finish, and how we got pre-approved. Essentially, like, we could have been pre-approved in like one day. So we'll be doing a video on how to get pre-approved quickly through NACA.
Calculating all the financials and everything.
How much house you can afford.
And making sure that you're taking care of your mental health all at the same time, because I swear to God, there were times where I wanted to pull out my armpit hairs. It was crazy. Anyways.
But now we have a multifamily, we have rental income being generated, so our mortgage payment is like less than what we would be paying in rent in New York City, which is crazy. Despite like repairs and everything else we have to pay for as a homeowner, like taxes and water and heating, like we're still better off, a better off situation than we would be renting, and with no money down. It's insane to me. So if you like this video, subscribe to our channel. We're going to be talking more about the specifics of the NACA program, being landlords and all that.